to them. So, shall I start? Shall I start? You all ready? Yes, I am starting. The lockdown period, though we are indoors most of the time, it is in fact face to face with children. We become sometimes, we are so close, we don't know what to do with them. But I feel this is the right time to inculcate certain learn skills in children and discipline them, teach them how to be self-disciplined and also to teach them some learning techniques and practice them. Let me tell you, since I wish to give you a little more information about this R&R. Whenever we read or whenever we do something, the mind gets the impression of it. Whenever we try to recall, if we give a cue, as I told you earlier, the mind is able to establish an association and remember it for a longer time. It helps for the longer retention of the content or the info that we have given it to the mind. Okay, now, since it is, as Mrs. Murthy said, very rightly she said, bringing up children nowadays is not only a challenge, but it is also, you will be all the time on toes. The kind of questions they ask us really make us awestruck. We don't know how to answer them. We only tell them you have to question us, but at the same time, the more they question, we get little worried about how to answer and how to see that these answers will satisfy them. Just, I want to thank my parents. I think you all can do it because our Vedas, they say, Matru Devo Bhava. Mother is we salute the mother for having given birth to this body. This is a soul, it's been traveling, isn't it, for so many births. Pitru Devo Bhava. Father comes next because he shows us the path. My father made me feel so precious. So a father will show the goal in life, the purpose of life. Then Atithi Devo Bhava, Atithi, whoever comes to our house. In this context, I want to say our child, the child is our Atithi. Matru Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, I have listed out. Who is the third one? Is this the teacher? Isn't it? Then the Atithi. Please remember, parents are also the first teachers. Whatever we teach, whatever we say, whatever we do at home will be very quietly imitated by children. Shall I tell you a small incident which I had seen in a family? The mother has the habit of talking a little loudly. Okay? Her intentions are very good, but she has that habit of shouting and talking very loudly. This girl has grasped it. The 4-year-old has grasped it and took it to the classroom. You know, the kind of reaction that she got from the teacher? The teacher called her and said, Beta, this is not the way to talk. You have to be very soft spoken. You have to speak very, very softly. Okay, shouting will strain your vocal cords. See, viewers, a parent who is supposed to be the first teacher, we are supposed to tell certain things. A thing like how to speak, how to behave, how to do things, how to read, how to learn an answer, how to invite somebody, and how to be pleasant and smiling all the time. Okay? I have a vision. Mrs. Murthy has already told about my vision in her intro. The vision is to impact the children either directly or indirectly through stakeholders. Who are the primary stakeholders? The parents, the teachers, school managements, the NGO organizations. I call these as platforms. So I try to take advantage, or whenever a platform is given to me, I try to make use of it and reach out to children through you. Today, I am trying to reach out to children through you. Okay? Whatever little input I give you, I think you will try to put it in practice. Once you put it in practice, that means I have already reached your houses, isn't it? I've impacted your kids. Okay?
Doctor, a small request. The previous card was not visible clearly. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have got Pancha Sutra. A Pancha Sutra for positive parenting, joyful parenting. Okay, to look at parenting as an art. So what is this Pancha Sutra? It is UDTCN. U stands for every child is unique. Let us remember, Sutra is meant for implementation. Sutra is not an information. It is meant for implementation. We have to be always conscious about the Sutra. The first thing is every child is unique. That means we cannot find a child like your child in this whole world. Every child is unique in its own way. Shall I share a small illustration with you, which I have conducted it with two twins. Twins of 4 years. They are biological, similar twins. Okay. I asked them, I made them sit near a window and I told them to look through the window and observe for some time what is happening outside. See the difference between them. Okay. So after 5 minutes, I called the twins. I asked the first twin, the elder brother, what did you see? He said, ma'am, I saw the blue sky. I saw the birds flying. I saw the neem tree. I saw the leaves falling. I saw a car coming. Okay, I also saw an auntie walking. And he has listed out all the things that he has seen. Look at this little fellow, other fellow. You know what he said? I asked him, what did you see, beta? What did you observe? Ma'am, I saw the green neem tree, ma'am. It's very huge. It's very big. There were two birds sitting on it. And you know, some leaves were falling down. And some leaves were brown in color also. Some leaves were dark green. It has got so many branches. There were two kids playing under it. No, one of the kids was sitting on the car. See the difference between these two kids. Identical twins. Huh? One fellow has concentrated on one aspect of the environment. He focused on the tree and tried to bring out made so many observations about what is his description of the tree, what is happening under the tree, everything this child has given. The other child is more of a generic type. What did he do? He has started looking around and seeing so many things happening there. So beautiful to notice, isn't it? I will give you a small exercise since it is a lockdown time. If you have two kids or otherwise also, you can compare and see contrast. What are the differences between your two kids? How are they different in their thinking? How are they different in their behavior? How are they different in their learning? How are they different in their learning styles also? How can we say a child is unique? Because every child's interests are different. While one child loves to eat so many sweets, the other child may love to eat only hot. Okay? While one child I have in my exploration of this child development, holistic developmental aspects, I have found out a few children who would keep a light music behind them while studying for their exams. I asked them the reason. They said, ma'am, if we listen to this music, we'll be able to concentrate more. Okay, let us appreciate. The first thing that we have to remember in the Panchatantra, Pancha Siddhanta, okay, Pancha Sutra is, the first one is every child is unique. We have to accept it and we should remember it whenever we deal with any situation. Not just remember it per se, but remember it when we have to deal with a situation. Second one is every child is divine. As Mrs. Murthy gave in her introduction, they are born with a purpose. They are divine. Though they are in small forms, human forms, the soul would have traveled so many lives it would have taken. It has got sufficient, solid experience, my dear viewers, so that it is sitting there in a small body, but it knows what to do. It has got internal drives which can make the child find out, discover, and see who she is or who he is. Okay. The third one is that we have to remember. The third sutra is the child. Every child is today. Let's not look at the child as tomorrow. Maybe for the tomorrow we have to prepare our children. So when I say today, sometimes since we are very busy, preoccupied with our own professional challenges and daily routine, we try to ignore some of the most crucial prime needs of our children. So when I say that the child's need has to be given the priority, their desires and wishes can be kept aside. Okay, so you have to plan today. You have to think about their nutrition today. You have to think about their health today. You have to have a discussion. The parents have to discuss. You have to think about, you should enjoy their today. Okay? Their little naughty things that they do at home. The kind of responses they give at home. Suddenly they might come and say, Papa, you are a very nice person. I haven't seen. So enjoy it. Salute them for today. They make us very happy. Let the daily happy moments be there in our mind. We have to store them because our children are our today. If we take care of them, if we nurture them, if we facilitate the holistic development in the proper way, and we allow it to unfurl, I'm using the word unfurl, because the development happens at its own pace. I told you every child is unique now. So every child, when every child is unique, the development also unfurls at its own pace in a very beautiful way. Like how a flower blooms. Every child will grow into an adolescent, an adult, later a good human being. For that, we have to be always paying attention to today. What am I doing? Am I giving my best today? So before I go to bed, as a parent, I should be able to happily go to bed and say, I have given my best today to my child.
Ma'am, doctor, just a request.
Yes.
A couple of our participants are not able to hear you. So if you can increase the volume or maybe speak a little louder, again, sharing today's present moment concern with you, with the technological challenges.
I have to talk a little more loudly.
Yes, a little loudly.
I should be literally screaming in that case. Shall I come a little closer? Shall I come
Maybe,
closer?
Yes, doctor, you could do that. Come a little closer, please. So as doctor is adjusting, we will quickly go through the 3 sutras that she has already told us. The uniqueness in our children, the divinity in them, and always enjoy their current moments, the present moments. Hence today is always called as a gift because it is present. The moment we say present, we always are there in that very moment and we love it. So let us also enjoy this present and pleasant childhood of our children. Over to you, doctor.
Thank you. Okay, the third, when we take care of them today to the best of our abilities, our tomorrow will be safe. we can have, especially your generation, you can have a safe tomorrow. They will take care of you and you will feel comfortable with this generation of children. The fourth one is C. C stands for they are born with a cause. And they are born for a cause. Let us not think they don't know anything. They have inner drives. They have inner abilities. They can really, they have a lot of potential inside. They have their own plans. They have come to succeed in life, do something and realize their cause. What is the duty of a parent then? Facilitate that. Find out that. In this juncture, I want to tell you, I had been to a college, an engineering college 2 years back. I conducted a survey. I asked the question, so you are studying, pursuing engineering. Is it out of your interest that you are doing it? Or do you have some other interest? Surprisingly, 70 to 80% of the students said they have been forced into this course. So somewhere we are missing that link with that inner passion, inner drive. So we have to somewhere realize, help them realize it. First, we have to realize they have an inner vision, they have inner drives, they love to pursue their own goal, they have their interests, which they may not be able to tell us, communicate to us in the early stages of their development. But once they come to the adolescent stage, they can articulate, they can communicate, they can tell us. Till that time, maybe we have to wait. We should not force them. We have to keep open so many options for them. We should understand what their interests are. Some parents complain and tell me, ma'am, we have put my 5-year-old in music class. After 3 months, the child says she doesn't want to go to music, she wants to go to dance class. What does the child know? The child may be exploring, isn't it? The child is too immature to tell us very clearly, maybe to find out for its own self what it wants to do. I said, there's no harm. Why? Just make the child go to a dance class. Let the child see what happens there. So let the child explore her own interests. After exploring, maybe the child can concentrate on any one of it, might get drawn by it, then slowly start pursuing it. So the fourth sutra is, every child is born for a cause. It has come onto this world to achieve something, to showcase something, and tell this humanity that it has got the potential to excel in something. But we as parents, we should try to see how to nurture that, how to find out that, how to explore that, how to help the child see that. Sometimes some children may not be able to see it for themselves. Okay, now the last sutra is the N. Very important sutra. This sutra is, they are natural resources and they are also national resources. Just because they are born in our family, to a particular couple, we cannot possess them as our own. We have to give them back to the society. The society should get benefited. I am very, very, very thankful to all of you for volunteering your time. Isn't it? It is really, I 3 cheers to all of you. Let me congratulate you at this juncture because you have been volunteering your time, your energies, your expertise, isn't it? So your children are observing that. So you are role modeling it to your children. It's a good thing. So they will also learn. So they are our national and natural resources. When I did my B.Ed, I'm getting reminded of this important contradictory concept that we were taught. I did my B.Ed, say 4 decades, 5 decades ago, 4.5 decades maybe, 4.5 decades to be exact. We were taught in the psychology class, children are like clay to be molded into a shape. Now, when I think of that, I feel like laughing, my dear viewers. And another important statement that was made by every lecturer, every professor was, they are like a clean slate. No, my experimentation with children has proved that they are not the clay to be molded like how I want to mold them, or how the mother want to mold them, or how the father want to mold them. Finally, we don't know how the child will get molded, in what shape and in what size. So children are not clay to be molded or clean slates to be write whatever we want to write. Okay, not something else, a thing to be put in a place. Who are they? They are energetic, bubbling with energy and divine souls. Come here maybe to teach us sometimes what is wrong and what is right.
Doctor,
Okay?
I got a question from our participants.
Yes.
And before we move on to the question, I also have one more thing to share with all our wonderful audience.
Right.
Do type in your questions. That way we have this unique, great doctor who would interact with us, and let us utilize this opportunity. Doctor, the first question that I got from our participant is, should we try to figure out the purpose for the child based on his strengths, or simply wait for the child to discover and tell us?
There are two ways. These two are actually two approaches. One approach is a situational based. Suppose you have given 10 situations and the child is not able to explore and come back and tell us. Then the child needs some kind of a help. Isn't it? There are some children who are matured enough. They come and tell us. They can figure it out. Maybe not in the way that we figure it out. Maybe it will be very nasal. Okay, but still they will say, Mama, I want to do this. I don't want to do that. Then immediately we should ask, how many times you want to do it? How do you want to do it? How long do you want to do it? Do you want to stick on to it? We have to bombard the child with the questions. Then taking the answers, we should be able to figure out at what level of maturity the child is to move forward on its own. But that doesn't mean that we have to close the door. No, we have to be keenly observing the child wherever required and whenever required. I'm using these two in quotes. Wherever required and whenever required, what should we do? We should simply step in. Don't involve too much. Step in. And pose a question and ask, oh, are you enjoying it? Or how long do you think you will enjoy it? Maybe a week or so? I've heard children fighting with me. How dare you say, no, I will continue for the whole year, whole academic year. This is my passion. Then that simple questioning will stimulate them to act firmly. Beautiful question. So two approaches is it. Approach one, if the child is not matured enough, you try to help the child and lead the child to some extent, and leave it again. We have to leave it again. Let the child start exploring. Get stuck, again you enter. You step in. Don't cling on. My parenting technique is, kindly make note of it. Don't cling on. Please step in. Step back.
Doctor, right. we got one more question.
Yes.
Usual question that most of us parents will get it. How free should we let them free?
I'm not able to hear you.
Yeah, how free should we let them free?
How free should we let them free? Oh, wonderful. 3 cheers. Thumbs up to that question.
Yeah.
Let us understand what is this freedom. Everything, unless, see, when we enjoy freedom, we have a responsibility attached to it. when we are enjoying the independence, when we enjoy the freedom of speech, we also have the responsibility of not hurting others, isn't it? Or say, cutting across. No, we don't have. Let the child understand that first. We have to give our time in making the adolescent understand that whenever a freedom of time, freedom to do whatever he or she wants to do within that time, and freedom to speak, freedom to question, freedom to eat, freedom to do XYZ, also goes with the responsibility, respective responsibilities. If that is not understood, that is where we have to interfere and tell the child what you are doing is not freedom. What you are doing is arrogant behavior. Impinging on others' freedom is not freedom. You can express your thoughts very clearly. You can be assertive, but you cannot be dominant. Your freedom is always coupled with the responsibility. When you want to sit and study in your room without getting disturbed by your sibling, you also please keep in mind, you allow your sibling to do the same and you abstain yourself from disturbing. This comes in course of time. We have to create situations for them to explore this. It is like a limit, you know. They should know where to draw the thin Lakshmana Rekha. There is a Lakshmana Rekha we have to draw. A time will come when they will draw the Lakshmana Rekha. Till that time, we have to help them draw that thin line. Once that thin line is understood, then children can enjoy the freedom of enjoying the freedom.
Very nice,
Satisfied?
Doctor. Thank you so much. I think so. Even that person who asked will be satisfied. I also remember one more line where they say, freedom is not got or given or received. You are freedom. So from here, we'll move on to the next question, Doctor, which is also very, very commonly concerned and asked for. And here we have a young parent who says, hi, ma'am. Nowadays, my 20-month-old child eats only if we show her the mobile or TV. Is this practice okay? Else, how do we make her eat?
Is the child 1 year old? How old
The
is
child,
she?
she's only 20 months. That is less than 2 years.
20 months. No. No, I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry. You can show the pictures. You can show a big storybook with big pictures. You can dance. You can jump in front of your baby. Both of you can do ringa roses for your baby. Okay? But please abstain the kid from yourself. Once if the baby get used to that, I have seen in my experience, parents complaining, they stop eating. They will start threatening the parents. This little baby is capable enough to trouble the parent. You know how? She will start spitting it out unless and until you show the cell phone to her. Please, thank God you have brought it to the notice. Please stop it. What else should you do? You can sing a song. Okay? You can dance. You can take the baby and show so many things. Draw the attention of the baby to the things around. One things we can do for babies, isn't it? It needs some kind of a approach, I call it as. It's called child-centric approach. Always keep in mind, I am bringing out this, nurturing this child to become a good human being who can be constructively contributing something to the society. Just imagine, this really, Mrs. Murthy, this is a big problem among adolescents also. Among primary children, I get almost 10 to 15 queries per day. Because in the earlier stages, parents leave them thinking, suppose I have an errand to attend to, what will I do? I just hand over the phone. If I have to do my office work, I just hand over the phone. So I just hand it over thinking 10 minutes won't make much difference. But for this little baby or a child, 10 minutes is like 1-2 hours of our matured people. It have a deeper impact. The younger the child, the deeper the impact is. Please abstain the child. Don't do it. And under no circumstances, at no cost, you are supposed to take it, the instrument near the child. No, please don't.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much. Please continue. You had another assignment or activity that you wanted all the parents to do.
I do have. So, I want to just give them a small activity. Okay? You all can do this. This activity, you can be seated in your places and you can do it. You enjoy it. And you, in the lockdown time, you make your children also do it. How you have to make your children do it? What is the outcome, cognitive outcome? If you want me to explain, I will explain. Okay. First is, wherever you are seated, when I say start, you please start looking around. See the things that they are in your vicinity. Okay. When I say stop, you are supposed to stop seeing the things. Okay. Then, when I say start again, maybe I will tell you what you need to do. Are you all ready? Are you all ready? Yes?
Yes, Doctor. We are ready.
Are you all ready?
Yes,
are you all ready? Am I visible?
Yes.
They can see me? Right.
Yes.
Come on, start. Start seeing the things around. Stop. Now, just remember only the number and keep it in your mind. Remember the number of things that you have seen and keep it in your mind. When I say start, you start recollecting those things in your mind. Then compare the number of things that you could recollect and the number of things that you have already mentioned and said total. Okay? You have to recollect now. Start. Stop. Match the count now. Okay? Match the count. I have conducted it in my interactive sessions, venue-based sessions. You know, Mrs. Murthy and all the viewers, you know, parents started fighting with me. You know what was the topic of the day? Topic of the day was, there is a difference between learning and performance. They are getting their children ready to write the exams. Okay. I asked them, how are you comfortable with the way they study and go to the exam? Yes, ma'am. However much we ask them to, we train them, we give them time, we feed them, and we prepare all their favorite food. And I don't know, ma'am, they come back and say they have not done well. Okay, they give the reason saying, I got prepared, but my test came in the 8th period. Okay, these reasons they gave, so many reasons, they just noted them on a paper. When I gave this activity, I asked them to go around, watch the things, come back. When they came back, they started questioning me. When are you going to ask us, ma'am? When are you going to ask us? How many things that we have said? When are you going to ask us? I said, I won't ask you now. When I want to ask you, I will ask you. Why should I ask you? Your responsibility is to see the things, remember them, and whenever I ask you to recollect, you have to recollect. So let us remember, there is a difference between learning and knowing things, understanding things, and performing it, showing it and writing, or verbally telling it out, isn't it? So, so the important thing is, even you, many of you would have seen many things, would have kept the number here 10, 15, 12, 13, whatever it is, but within the given time, you could recollect only a few. Very often it happens with children. They told me, they gave me the reasons. Shall I share the reasons with you? We feel very sorry. You know, one child, told me, ma'am, when I try to write my exam, whatever my mother has said, that started coming in my mind. Yesterday you did not do the paper well. Today I'm sure, I hope you will do it better. Please don't do paper. Don't spoil your paper like yesterday. Children are sensitive. They are developing into human beings. They are growing. They are in the process of growth. They have to learn. They have to fail sometimes. They have to correct their mistakes. We have to give them that space, isn't it? So giving that space is very, very important. I hope all of you have done it. Let me tell you how you can make your children turn it into a cognitive tool for children. Shall I tell you how to turn it into a cognitive tool? Suppose you have a 10-year-old. One day the child should be able to observe what are there in one room. Make note of them, close the book, start recollecting. First time when the child recollects, whatever the child recollects, the child should make note of. It should call second round of recollecting. Make note of the rest of the things. If the child requires third round of recollecting, ask the child to recollect again. But the child should be able to recollect and write all the things that the child has observed in that room. Okay? Next day, let the child go to the next room. You know what happens? Children have shared their outcomes with me. Really beautiful. Such a cognitive development has happened in them. You know what they told me? The first day, they struggled, I believe, to recollect. They could recollect only 5 or 6 things. Second round, they started adding. The third round, the mind could differentiate between what has been already recorded there, what else is left. The third column was filled automatically by children. Second day, there was an improvement in the first recording itself. The first time when they could recollect, there was a slight improvement. Third day, much more improvement. The fourth day, fourth room, much more improvement. The final round excelled. I was awestruck. When I gave a simple, silly activity, it looks like a silly activity, but that enhances the cognitive dimension of children because it draws their attention, it enhances their concentration and helps them focus on it and move ahead with their task.
Doctor, I have got a couple of more questions.
Right?
So let me start with one question. Again, this has been a concern with some of my friends also. How to deal with children who are very stubborn and always they seek validation from their grandparents because the grandparents would have given them a lot of attention and even appreciation. Sometimes the grandparents decide, even dictate terms to the parents. So she or he, the concern they have is this has become a practice of seeking continuous validation. So how does this affect in that child's growth and how to deal for the parents in such a situation?
Wonderful. Thank you very much. It's really a hot, what should I say, problem for younger parents. When I conducted exclusive sessions for grandparents, I made it very clear, even in my media shows, I always tell them, you are a grandparent is a grandparent. A grandparent should never become a parent. All said and done, parents are parents. They have to take the decisions. They have to set the goals. They should know what is their ambience. They know the strengths and weaknesses of themselves and the child. They are the nurturers and they are the facilitators. I make it very clear. Some of you can watch my videos. There is specifically 2-3 videos which talk about this grandparental role in a child's development. We should not cross the line. I'm also a grandparent. I will never cross that line. That line, if I cross it, I am damaging the development of the child. I should not take the reins of the parents into my hands. The reins should be always within the hands of the parents. They know when to pull it back and they know when to loosen it. What is the role of a grandparent then? A role of a grandparent is to make observations because the child gets closer to you, right? You make observations. If there is any good thing, good aspect that you want to share it with your children. If there is something that is going beyond which you don't know as a parent, communicate it to the parent. Why do you play the role of a parent? Should not happen at all. That will have a negative impact on the child. Let me tell you, the first thing is the child will get confused. The child won't know whom to follow. Secondly, the child will also try to take the side of the grandparents because the grandparents are anyhow not saying no. So the child will start seeing things not understanding or comprehending. I'm using the word comprehending. The child will fail to comprehend what is right and what is wrong. So child might get into a blindfolded situation. Being an adolescent also, maybe at the age of 20 also, whatever my grandparent says is only right because it is soothing me, it is comforting me, it is making me feel happy, it is pampering me. No, by then it will become too late. All said and done, a parent will be very, very critical. A parent will always be constructively critical with the child. You should allow that to happen because that is only good for the child's development. My request to young parents is, please communicate this in a very positive manner. Tell them if they don't know, it doesn't matter. It is all for the child's benefit, isn't it? Let the child be in the center always. Whenever we think of child development, whenever we think of parenting, whenever we think of a technique or nurturing situation or a setting, let the child be in the center. That is called child-centric approach. There is no place for you and I. There should not be any place for any egos there. Is it beneficial for my child? Then I have to do it. If it is not beneficial, if it is not enhancing the development, or if it is not helping the child, I must cut it very, very assertively. Please communicate. Please feel free. After all, they are your parents. No, please tell them, Mama, this is not the way. Let me take my reins. I know you can help me. Whatever you want to do, you please communicate and tell. Not in front of the children. Yes.
Thank you so much, Doctor. This question was raised by our friend Vaishnavi Rajasimha. I hope you got a convincing answer, Vaishnavi ji. We will move on to another question asked by Bhavya Bharati. Doctor, she says, how can a child get to do more performing mindset or performing attributes in their academics and bold speaking in classes? So how can parents help the child into developing this boldness and also make this person keen on listening, because they feel the child is not much into the listening mode?
There are 3 questions embedded in one question.
Yes, Doctor.
One is how to make the child listen. Another is how to make the child perform better in academics. Third one is
how to make the child be bold in expressing.
Okay. Being bold is something to do with the personality development. So trying to get good grades is something to do with academics. Okay. Listening is a life skill. Dear parent, let the child understand, unless and until we listen actively, we won't be able to do better in our lives. We have to be an active listener first. How to inculcate this? Instead of sermonizing and saying, you listen, they won't listen. So instead of doing that, I will just give you a small technique which you can ask your child to do it on her own. If she likes it, you can also, as a parent, join her and both of you can do it. Okay? Take an audio tape of a speech for 5 minutes. Let the child close her eyes and listen, focusing and paying attention to the speech and listen. Then switch it off. Ask her to note down what she has listened. Okay? So this technique is listening followed by writing. I am reminding you, writing is the only way to excel in academics, isn't it? As they move from lower classes to higher classes, they have to articulate it and put it in textual form, isn't it? So this will also add a value to academic effort also. Ask a child to do it second time. Listen to another speech, maybe her favorite song, a hero's dialogues. The content can be anything, but let her listen for 3 minutes, move on to 5 minutes, and start noting down in the book. This she can apply to her academic answers also. Suppose there is a long answer. Let her record the answer, okay? Listen to her own answer, start noting down the words. Till she gets all concepts in that particular answer, she can repeat listening. By this, we are doing two things for the child. One is we are inculcating and fortifying the life skill of listening. The second thing is we are also making her, tuning her mind to academic excellence, towards how to improve her own performance in academics. Always listening has got a connection with academic improvement. Okay? Confidence, not able to speak. Lockdown period, I feel, is a good time. Generally, I have seen in my experience, children get fumbled when they have to stand in front of 10 people and speak. So I experimented in classroom situations. I made teachers experiment. You know how I did? You can do this. You can apply it to your home background also. I divided the children into pairs. A child who is confident in speaking, doing things, a child who is less confident, I don't say not confident, they will have the confidence, as I've been telling right from the beginning, it is there inside them. The only thing is they don't know how to bring it out. Okay? So I made pairs like this. I have given a topic. That topic, the child who is not confident should tell it out to the other child. The other child should write. The other child should not talk. You know what happens generally? A confident person sits beside a not so confident person. The other person will become lesser and lesser, go down in confidence levels. Rather than seeking it, will go down till the child reaches that state. We call it as a state of confidence. Till that the child reaches that state, the child should be trying it out. First trial, second trial should be left for self-correction. We should not correct it. Even I have advised that confident girl not to correct the child. I said, okay, fine, you have done it. Okay, you only give some kind of a score for yourself. Second round, third round, a lot of improvement is seen. Then you know what I did? The same thing, the child has to go home, stand in front of the mirror and do it. Second type of experience has come. Then I made the child, I found out from the child with whom she is closer. She said she is closer to her papa. So papa is your pair. Okay? Do talk in front of him. Whatever you want to say, you say. But ask him not to correct you. You speak. Okay? Once you get the confidence, once you feel your papa can correct you, you ask him to correct you.
Wonderful, doctor. Wonderful tips.
Mrs.
I
Murthy,
think we all should try that.
I think the final thing has to be told. The final thing is the child was asked to perform in front of a small group. That it got extended to the whole classroom. I still remember that girl. Now she is one of the best orators. Then she was moved to assembly level. Inter-class, inter-school, she flew like anything.
Great.
We need to know the techniques. That's all. Everything is there within. We need to know the techniques and help them.
And also walk every step with them is what is needed.
Just go with them. As I told you, step in, step out. Step in, step out.
Doctor, you are amazing. These are the compliments we are getting continuously from many of our friends to highlight Dr. Sai Patil, who is right now viewing from US, Northeast state. She has a question. How do we deal with kids arguing with each other all the time?
Arguing with each other, very good, very interesting, challenging thing for me. But fortunately, Mrs. Murthy, you know, I would have done somewhere some research that comes into my mind. Before arguing, there will be 1 second that the child needs to step up and think, should I argue? There is only 1 second, not 1 minute also. That 1 second, I have put a small chart in one corner of the room. There are 2 siblings. There were 2 siblings who used to argue. 2 siblings. My experimentation I am sharing. We can convert it to this situation. I told both the siblings to put a small chart paper in their respective rooms. Before they feel like arguing, I said, no, there's nothing wrong in arguing. I said, okay, you continue, you go, you can argue. But before arguing, just run to that chart paper, that corner, and write why you want to argue. Just write one reason. Why you want to argue. What happens psychologically? By the time the sibling goes there and writes there, the need, the thrust, that what is that urge to argue will come down 50%. She will start talking, arguing in a lighter mood. Second time, whenever you feel like arguing, you have to go and write it there. You know, the surprising and interesting thing is, the fact is, there are 101 reasons there, which she found as silly reasons. So generally arguments happens not because there is a reason. We want to ascertain our position. We want to satisfy our ego. We want to communicate, I am better than you. We want to tell, you have to tell me 3 cheers. Anyhow, you don't tell me, let me argue and make you a fool, then you tell me. All this is human nature, especially with children. This flies. Finally, the siblings came to know, more or less they have similar reasons to argue. Some reasons are different. I told them to sit and figure out. First you satisfy whether those reasons are, whether they are silly or worth arguing. And finally they said, ma'am, it's waste of time. Better not to argue, better to put forth and listen to each other. I hope this can apply to this situation.
Wonderful, doctor. I think all the parents who have more than one child have to try this out and then share how it worked with you all.
I wish to get their sharings. I will be very happy because yes. I've got some cell where I put in all the research findings. Okay, fine.
Right.
Fine.
Doctor, we have one more question from Paruchuri Harita, and she says, my baby is going to be 6 months soon. Can you please tell me what can I do to make her brain develop very well? Because is this the age to work with her thinking capacity or
yes,
the child's thinking capacity?
Wonderful. The baby should be in the crib. So when the baby is in the crib, yes, baby is in the crib, you can do some activities. When you keep the baby on your lap, you can do some activities. When you feed the baby, you can do some activities. Every activity can stimulate the mind. I will take the situation of when the baby is in the crib. And you try to make faces at the baby. I know why I'm asking you to make faces. When you make faces, the baby tries to read the expressions on the face. Let us not think the baby doesn't know how to read the expressions. You knot your eyebrows, you raise your forehead, you open your eyes big, and you keep your mouth shut, or you laugh. All this stimulates the thinking and figuring out what my mama is doing, what is it that she is trying to tell. Okay, and then jump.
Then start showing the dolls. The dolls playthings are very, very important for cognitive development. That is, some children will start, appreciating the colors also. We don't know. They may not be able to tell us. They may not be able to communicate with us, but still they love. So put the dolls, small ones, bigger ones, and then which can make noise, and start showing it, taking it closer, taking it. Bring it, take it very close, then keep it at different distances. The eyesight, the focus, the attention will also get longer and longer. Remember, my dear parents, this has got a connection with cognition. When they try to focus, that means the eyesight is getting brightened and it stimulates the mind. Mind is stimulating it. Suppose you can, I think 6 months, 7 months, you can talk. You can start talking to them. You can sing lullabies. You can sing a lullaby. You enjoy lullabies. You sing a beautiful lullaby. Amma, amma. Sing a song. When you sing a song, the baby will start thinking, oh, my mother has got so many talents. She can sing for me. She can run for me. She can jump for me. She can play for me. The whole perception of a mother itself is a cognitive ability. How quickly the child can understand my mother is like this itself is a cognitive aspect of development. There are so many things. If I continue.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I think these steps, I'm personally getting tempted to try all these things, but my son is grown up now. Moving on to the next question, Doctor, from Shri Rajesh G. Kongovi.
Right.
Doctor, we always say children should be unique because that was your first
sutra. Yes.
And the question continues, how can we allow them to be what they are and at the same time fulfill our desires also?
Oh, I'm so sorry to say, I may not be liked if I make that statement by all of them, but still I make the statement. Our children are not our extensions. I should not see another Vishnupriya in this world. My desire should be my child desire. The child, as I told you right in the beginning, born with a cause, isn't it? It is born for a cause, with a cause. Okay? If your desire and the child desire merges, coincides, if it is similar, in some families it happens. Son wants to become a doctor, parent also wants to make the child a doctor. That's okay. But real positive parenting, effective parenting is, I should not, nowhere I should become possessive of my child's desires or interests. No. When I see my desire getting satisfied as my child is satisfying his or her desire, then I am a real untouched parent. Finally, there is a spiritual aspect to parenting. The beautiful aspect, the spiritual aspect is when you allow, when you don't attach yourself, you have to be nurturing them. You have to nurture them. You have to see that they are comfortable, but you cannot live their lives. They have come for a different purpose. They have to find their own path. They have to excel in their own desires. They have to satisfy their desires. Then only they look back and they feel proud of you. That day only they will feel proud. Because take it from me, I have taken one question across the youth. That question is, are you satisfied with what you are doing now? 70% say they are not satisfied because they are living others' desires. It can be a parental desire, it can be a grandparent's desire, it can be a teacher's desire. Why? When we say unique individuals, don't I have a right to have my own desire? See, do we go and interrupt a plant when it is growing? Suppose we have put a plant, let us say a rose plant. Do we suddenly go and say you become a become a chamanti plant? Do we make a cross and do it? No, we won't do it now. We don't have a right to do it. That's where spirituality comes in. We should nurture the child. We should facilitate his development to the best of our abilities. Give our time, give our energies, but be aside. Don't become one. Enjoy from a distance. Don't get attached. Be detached. It's all God's gift. Parenting is a God's gift, right? Am I right? So you are doing your duty. You are fulfilling your responsibility. Since the baby has born in your family, you are fulfilling a spiritual responsibility. Once you get attached, you are spiritually attached. Don't do it. Let your child become a human being. Let your child become her own self, his own self. Enjoy it. You see that satisfaction when the child is growing, and the child is growing by itself and says, when the adult comes back running and says, Mama, whatever I have dreamed, today I am that. That should be the day of the best parenting day. So I hope I haven't hurt anyone. The spiritual detachment is very important. We should not live their lives. We have to allow them to live their own lives. We are simply facilitators. We are facilitators. We have to facilitate them enjoy their life. At no point in their life they should feel, my mama was like a shadow. No, they are not shadows. They are unique individuals of their own choice of birth also.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Wonderful from you, all the tips, and it was great listening to you. But I'm representing all the viewers and the parents who are not completely satisfied. We want more sessions from you. And also to the viewers who would like to have more such sessions and interactions with Dr. Chitti Vishnupriya ji. Please do share in our comment section with this Youth for Seva Facebook page as to which is an ideal time that suits you all. And also, if you are looking forward, I'm sure that you're all looking forward to have one more such wonderful interactive session with this great doctor. Nowadays, it is so difficult to even get some person who is such a friendly advisor to us. And doctor, as we all know, a lot of good things have to come to an end. And I really remember the first 3 cards that you showed us. I was waiting for if you would ask some question. Maybe we will ask our viewers to message us, and if they still remember what are all the cards that they saw. And very happy to again share with you all the 5 sutras that doctor taught us, UDTCN. And now I'm not going to explain. I'm going to leave it to the viewers to complete and share the full form with us. Do messages as to when would you like to have one more session or many more such sessions with Dr. Vishnupriya ji. Doctor, thank you so much. It was wonderful and great having you here. It was as if we were all children and we were listening to another great person, friend, elder, advisor to us.
Thank you very much. I wish you all the best. Being an elderly person, I bless you all with good health and happy life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. And to the viewers, please do share in your comments, your concerns, questions, and your suggestions, valuable suggestions for us to improve furthermore in this great event. And we would like to conclude with another announcement. Please do keep in touch. Watch our Youth for Seva Facebook. From tomorrow, we have taken up another wonderful challenge, Doctor, that is to conduct Gokulam through Zoom sessions for the Bala Gokulam activities addressed towards children from 8 to 14 years. So every day from 3 to 4 p.m., make sure you log in, and all the children from your home and the community and your neighborhood log in to Facebook and enjoy this 1 hour power-packed session full of activities, magic, a lot of things that we get to learn if we were to be not part of this great session that is going to start from tomorrow, every day, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. For more details, do go to our webpage, Facebook page, youthforseva.org. excitement is full and completely filled in this 1 hour, and we also have competitions that we share every day, and questions that we throw, and the first 3 winners will also be showcased in our Youth for Seva Facebook page and web page. So any more questions and concerns, please do share your comments, suggestions, and also we are waiting to join or have you all in this great Gokulam Zoom session that's going to start tomorrow. And coming back to today's session, Doctor, I represent all the parents and all the great viewers that were with you, and thank you very much once again.
Yeah, we have stopped Facebook Live. Amazing session. We had a lot of comments floating in throughout the session.
Okay.
Beautiful, ma'am. People enjoyed it, and they, it's like a rejuvenation of this time because people are frustrated, irritated, staying at home. I think so. We'll have more such sessions with them. Maybe we can get in touch with you for the next session.
Ma'am, are you listening? Vishnu Priyaji, are you there? I think the videos is it's giving a still picture, right, Rohit?
Network issue, current. ನನಗೂ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಕರೆಂಟ್ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ.
ಅದೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಪೇರೆಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಈಸಿ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ರು ಇಲ್ಲ. ಹೆಂಗ ಅನಿಸ್ತು ರೋಹಿತ್? ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತಾ?
Went well. Actually, moderation also could help a lot of questions. It could go smooth actually.
ಹೌದು ಹೌದು ಹೌದು. And she was open. Immediately she would conclude her answer and look forward to another question, which not many people do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we will
we will
a small group with her. Maybe we can discuss on that. What would be the next session and how do we plan it?
Yeah, maybe now you can do one audio conference call with her. That should help.
I'll do it.
Okay. We'll thank her personally also.
Yeah, sure.